Welcome to Dodgers Daily. Casey Porter here. So glad you decided to tune in. Austin, my head is spinning. Okay. The Dodgers are hitting like 214 in July. Mookie's not hitting. Freddie hit his first extra base hit in the last 8 games. Dalton Rushing was 0 for 19 until he went off today. Teo Hernandez has been horrific. Kyle Tucker has been horrific. But yet, here we are. The Dodgers are 42 games in first place, and they just went to the Yankees and the Phillies and went 4-2 on the road. And by the way, you had Eric Lauer on the mound, right? I mean, I can't figure this out. I mean, it's like I want to sit here and like bitch about something, and I can't figure it out. It's like, you know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. So there's a phrase that's just baseball that you could put to this, where the Dodgers go into the series coming off of them being swept by Arizona, and you say, okay, that's a good thing that the All-Star break is happening, but then we got to go on the road. We got to go to New York, play the Yankees. Then we got to go to Philadelphia to play the Phillies, 2 teams that are seen as some of the highest threats to the Los Angeles Dodgers in the postseason. And the team's not fully there together as far as playing the perfect baseball. You can point out individual players, as you just did, who are more or less struggling over the past little bit. And yet the Dodgers keep finding different ways to win. Today was a little bit more of a, not total, but a little bit better of a more complete offensive showing. You had certain players that really were able to step up. You mentioned Dalton Rushing coming back from more struggling at the plate, where he's had to take a little bit of a heavy workload. Man, he showed out today with what he was able to do. And then Tommy Edman, what can you say about what Tommy Edman has done to this offense since coming back? He has been absolutely electric, and it's been both against righties and against lefties. One of the things I was very concerned about with Tommy Edman is he has not been good against right-handed pitching over the past couple of years, and especially if he's going to take the prominent second base position, you worry about what he's going to be able to do against righties. The reason why I say that, it was I believe a 79 WRC plus over the past 3 seasons for Tommy Edman against right-handed pitching. But now he's hitting both. Take a little bit of a step back. He's playing well above what he has for his career. But even if he is a 10% above league average type of hitter, that's a tremendous addition to this offense. You throw in what they've been able to do, mix and match just different pieces. And the Dodgers are rolling right now on their way to October. They're going to have one of the best records in the National League. You feel really good about going on the road to New York and to Philadelphia, taking 2 out of 3 in both of those series. They have one more series, I believe, on the road against the New York Mets before they're able to return back home. 3 more games on the East Coast coming up Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Finish off the road trip strong, and you're going to feel really good about where the Dodgers are at, even if there are individual players who, man, let's just face it, the corner outfielders, they're struggling a little bit more than what we expected going into the season.
They're bad. I'm going to put it to you that way. Hey, and I don't mean to throw anybody under the bus in that statement, because it's baseball and it happens, but this is extended. This is longer than Teo Hernandez should be bad. This is way longer than Kyle Tucker should be bad. So I don't have, and I'll put it to you this way, and I say this all the time, okay? It's hands off with me with the minor leaguers. These guys are making $1,500 a month or whatever it is. They're struggling. They haven't made it. Some of them signed big signing bonuses, but after the 10th round, like a Griffin Lockwood pal, that dude has made no money playing baseball, okay? Hands off. I'm not listening to people criticize that guy. Does that make sense? I mean, he's fighting to make a career. Kyle Tucker signed a huge contract. Teo Hernandez signed a huge contract. Once you sign a huge contract, Austin, as process-based as we are, as much as we love our babies, once you sign the huge contract, you now are a transaction. So as a fan, I need to be transactional with you because you were transactional with the way that you signed a big contract. So I only give all that context to say I have 0 problems, and there is no throwing anybody under the bus if you say Kyle Tucker has not been nearly as good as what he got paid for, the contract. Teo Hernandez has gone for a longer period of time than he should based on the Dodgers bringing him back. of not being good. I don't consider that to be negative. I don't consider that to be throwing it under the bus. Yes, it is transactional, and it's true. So I don't have a problem with either one of those statements.
First off, just in case people are new here, Dawgs, part of the Dodgers Daily Network, we like to take a little bit of a big picture type of approach when talking about these individual players and talking about different contracts and overall storylines with the Los Angeles Dodgers. So you might turn into the postgame show and, man, why are these guys upset? The Dodgers just won. They won the series against the Philadelphia Phillies. We're looking a little bit more big picture because there are some issues that are at hand with the Los Angeles Dodgers. And when we look at Teoscar Hernandez and Kyle Tucker, after the game today, both of these players are below league average hitters. Yeah. With Kyle Tucker, it's a 94 WRC plus. The previous 3 years was like a 140. This is a 50-point WRC plus drop off from Kyle Tucker. Dude, it's almost
August, man.
And Kyle Tucker has not been a great defender. He is there specifically for his bat, and he has not performed. And when we talked about throughout the course of the season, I was, and I think you were, patient enough with him in April, patient enough with him in May. Once it got into mid-June and we really start to see, man, there really doesn't seem to be that turning of the corner that's quite there. That's when a lot of the alarms start off, because a lot of alarms should be started when a player is making $60 million a year and is not able to be an above league average hitter, nor is able to play good defense in the outfielder. And this is the difficult part with the Los Angeles Dodgers, is because they don't just have Kyle Tucker for this year. They have him for 3 additional years after this, which means, especially if you look at the system, if you have a below league average type of bat, you'd rather that be with a younger player or somebody that can at least provide you with some solid defense. But they're not able to do that because right now, Kyle Tucker, unless he starts hitting, is an immovable contract, which means that the Los Angeles Dodgers are in a situation where they have to have Kyle Tucker start hitting because they need him for this roster over the next couple of years because of the contract that they signed him to. And with Teoscar Hernandez, look, with him, it's been below league average. He's dealt with some injuries. That isn't a fully excuse for what exactly has been going on, because he's been healthy for the past little bit, and it hasn't exactly been there. Did you see him miss the
fastball right down the middle on the 3-1 count today? Yep. I mean, that to me, there's results, and then you go, oh, well, yeah. If you're not going to hit a 3-1 pitch right down the middle, that kind of deal.
And that's the biggest thing with Teoscar Hernandez. He's missing pitches that he should, and he's not dominating in areas that he should. With Teoscar Hernandez, he is one of the main pieces that should specifically be hitting against left-handed pitching. But against lefties entering to the game today, it's been below league average, 96 WRC plus versus left-handed pitching. That has to be in the more of the 120-ish range. There's a couple of different hitters. Like Mookie Betts has not hit lefties at all. Entering today, it's a 60 WRC plus versus left-handed pitching, much better versus righties. They need some of these right-handed bats to really step up.
Did you say Mookie?
That was Mookie against left-handed pitching. He's really struggled against lefties, which has hurt the Dodgers' ability to go up against left-handed pitching. Mookie is 11% better than league average against righties. With this offense, you're looking for individual holes. And even in a win today, which let's say it was a good win for the Los Angeles Dodgers, and they had pretty much their playoff lineup that was out there. With this lineup as constructed right now, you're looking for certain players to be able to step up in certain specific roles, because that is the role that they're needing to be able to do. With Kyle Tucker, you just need him to hit. And right now he is just slightly below league average, and about that versus righties and lefties, there's not even really a good platoon advantage for him right now. And with Teoscar Hernandez, neither with him with a platoon advantage. You want him to be able to at very least destroy lefties, because that's going to make this lineup better. And really, with the Dodgers at the state of where they're at right now, this is going to be your playoff outfield. So you just have to root for these guys, and you hope that they're able to make the adjustments, or at least find the adjustments late in the season that can roll into September. But I don't want to take the entire show to complain about the Dodgers outfielders, Teoscar Hernandez, Kyle Tucker, although I think it's totally fair to have criticism based on their contract and based on the extended length of their struggles this year. I think there's still a lot of good that is part of this lineup. And as we mentioned, Tommy Edman, Dalton Rushing had good games today. I think this lineup, as it is constructed, is going to be one that is going to be formidable for October. but there's certain players that need to step up in order to make it as dominant as it can be for this offense going into October.
Yeah. And how many times have we said this? I know Chuck said this many different times on the show, but the Dodgers, they go on the road, they get into a challenge. I'm just telling you, I'm this way as a fan, and maybe this is my confirmation bias because I kind of get into this mood. The Dodgers are so good. It's so smooth that it's almost boring, right? I mean, it's like, okay, well, the Dodgers are going to, even if they don't hit, they're going to pitch, they're going to win, they're going to, okay, well, today there's a difference between being 12.5 up and 11.5 up, right? You know, it's kind of one of those dog days of summer mentalities for me. I promise you, the Dave Roberts and the players feel that too. So you're getting so here's what a fan would say is, well, they're getting paid all this money to play every single game, and you're not wrong, okay? But actually what Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Teo, Kyle Tucker, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, Shohei Ohtani, what they're actually getting paid for is to win a World Series.
Yes.
That's what they know. They know that if what happens the last 2 years happens again this year, nothing matters between what happened before that versus the vice versa of that. They can go sail on for 11, 12 game leads, get into the playoffs and lose. And then that 11 or 12 game lead, none of that ever mattered. So These guys are so mature that they play for the big moments. I'm sorry, they just do. They play up to the competition. They play up to the venue. They play up to the environment. So if they do look bored sometimes with games that they lose, you know why? It's because they are. Okay, I like those rhetorical questions. Because it's human nature. Then if it looks like, well, you know, they're going onto the road into a snake pit and they're going into a big environment against some of the better teams, and then all of a sudden, boom, they win 4 out of 6 with Emmett Sheehan, Roki Sasaki, Eric Lauer being 3 of the pitchers in those 6 games, and you still win 4 out of 6, and the offense is hitting 214 in July. It's because it piqued their interest. I mean, it's like you're Freddie Freeman, you're Shohei, you're whoever, Mookie, whoever it may be, and you go, oh, man, this is going to be fun. We're going to Yankee Stadium. We're going to play the Mets. We're going to play the Phillies. This is going to be fun. So just human nature locks you in a little bit better, and you get what you get with the Dodgers. So I just warn people, I like to talk about the big picture, some of the things that need to get fixed to win a World Series, because, again, nothing will matter if you don't win one. The Dodgers will not hide from that. And then also, it's fair to say, and I don't even think it's criticism to say, I think it's just human nature. Yeah, they do get up for the bigger games and the bigger environments, like Yankee Stadium, like going to the Phillies, like going to the Mets.
Yeah, how could you not? If you're the Los Angeles Dodgers, how could you not? And if you're perhaps frustrated with the fact that the Dodgers don't go all out every single game during the course of the World Series, one, that can be incredibly dangerous because that can wear you out incredibly fast as individual human players and who are actual human beings throughout the course of that. Yet, of course, you want the Dodgers to win every single game, but they understand the long picture. How many individual wins do you remember from the 2021 World Series or from the 2021 season, the 2022 season, 2023 season? Teams that won 100 plus games for the Los Angeles Dodgers that were excellent and great. The goal wasn't to win 100 games. You remember from those seasons where the Dodgers failed in October because the overall goal for this Dodgers team is, and the expectation is, you're going to play in a World Series and you're going to compete to go ahead and win a World Series. And with as much talent as the Los Angeles Dodgers have, they are in a position where they can coast and go ahead and make it into the postseason. That is a luxury because of the amount of talent that the Los Angeles Dodgers have. So it's more human nature to go, yeah, we know that we're good enough to go ahead and make the postseason. And yeah, we're going to make sure that we win some of these games. But each and every single game comes with the big picture in mind of this all comes down to we need to go ahead and win in October, which means that as us covering this Dodgers team, there's not as much to talk about.
It's like sometimes you're going, what? Oh, okay.
Because each one of these individual games, yes, they matter because they count towards the win and loss record, but it's all about October,
Yeah.
which is why the Dodgers
No
are
doubt.
as slow in building up and ramping up some of their players that are on the injured list, which is why it's a little bit more of a question mark. Okay, are these guys going to come back? But part of that could be part of the strategy because the Dodgers know, hey, we don't need Blake Snell for July, for August. We need him to be ready to go for October and making sure that he's ready to go. Hey, Tyler Glasnow, the only question that's on mind with Tyler Glasnow is, hey, is he going to be back for October? Right now, the Dodgers are in the luxury, and believe me, this is an absolute luxury because they are one of the only teams that can state this. They are in a luxury of being able to look past the regular season already onto October. Not because it's going to be guaranteed that they're going to make the postseason, but it kind of almost is guaranteed based on the talent that they have, and to the point where, man, you look at this road trip, you mentioned it, they threw out Eric Lauer, they threw out Emmett Sheehan, they threw out a Justin Robleski, they threw out a Roki Sasaki.
Yeah, those are your 4 pitchers out of the 6 games.
And they threw out a bullpen game. 5 out of 6 games against the Yankees and Phillies on the road. That was those were the pitching plans, and they won.
And they didn't hit, and they still won.
Yes. Yeah, and they won 3 out of those 5 games. Throw in the Yamamoto game that they won also. They were able to find a way to be able to pull out the talent. So, just a great team with an immense amount of talent. Now looks forward to October, and that's where the entire strategy is going forward.
100%. And, it's that teeter-totter. And we have a question here from Showtime LA. Great to see you back, Casey. It looks like DePaula and Hope are both going to go 2020 this year. What adjustments have you seen from those guys? Josue DePaula looks like a completely different guy this year. And to be honest with you, so Austin, we've had this conversation, okay? And this was my teeter-totter with Josue DePaula, and this is where I wasn't wanting to cross the bridge one way or the other. So that discipline that Josue DePaula has, okay, I was curious to see if AA pitchers would use that against him to get him into pitchers counts and then get him to hit weak contact and strike out a little bit more, if it would go that way, or if because he's so disciplined, that's how he beats AA pitching. And then so for a lot of hitters that are disciplined for Josue DePaula, okay, sometimes you get better, your results get better as you move levels, because the pitching gets better, yes, but it also gets more consistently around the zone. So what's happened to Josue DePaula is he's kept the plate discipline, but because the pitchers have been around the zone more consistently than he's ever had, he's also at the same time been able to be more aggressive in terms of finding harder contact. So the AA level for Josue DePaula has been the perfect mix for the type of hitter he is, to where the plate discipline gets him into hitters counts. And then because pitchers are around the zone more, he's able to be more aggressive. I think AAA will be even more so for him there. I think the next jump, I don't think the next jump is AAA. I think he's going to continue to have better results as he goes in the minor leagues. I think the next jump, the next test for him literally is the major leagues.
Okay, that is fascinating, and that would be incredibly curious of how the Dodgers would be able to handle something like that for a Josue DePaula, and it would be a little bit more rare to be able to see that for him. But Josue DePaula is a rare prospect. One of the
I didn't mean this year. Don't take me wrong. I didn't mean that. I just meant his next. Like the next time I'm going, okay, can he handle this jump? Does that make sense?
Fair enough. So what you're not saying is Josue DePaula is imminent to the Los Angeles Dodgers, is going to be called up at some point. No, because there's no place to be able to put him. You have Teoscar Hernandez and you have Kyle Tucker, and you're paying them to play in those outfield positions. Now, if we're talking about in the future for Josue DePaula, Teoscar Hernandez only has, I believe, 1 more year left on his contract after this season. It is possible that the Dodgers could look at some sort of avenue to potentially pursue some sort of
Didn't
trade.
he sign for 3 years?
Yes, for 3 years, but that was last year as well. So last year, this year, and then next year with an additional option as well. But that, I believe, is a club option that the Dodgers could go ahead and turn down if they need to, which likely with the number of outfielders that they have in the system would be something that they would pursue. Josue DePaula could be, I would say, as early as probably next year, be called up to the major league level. But this is the thing that has really stood out for me with Josue DePaula, and something we talked about quite a bit in the offseason. You mentioned this quite a bit. Part of the reason why he was having a lot of success in the Midwest League is Midwest League, it's kind of wild. There is a lot of walks in the Midwest League. It's got a lot of guys that have a little bit more advanced stuff than the low A level. Don't always know where it's going, and that could lead to some really interesting games. And so Josue DePaula, smartly enough, did not swing at a whole lot of pitches because there is a lot of pitches that were outside the zone that he was not going to swing at and make some bad swings at. So Josue DePaula last year was about a 38% swing percentage. Moving up this year, AA pitchers, a little bit better at throwing in the zone. You know what his swing percentage is? Because this was something that we had talked about before.
It's got to be a lot higher.
If he kept it at about 38%, a lot of AA pitchers were probably going to attack the zone, and Josue DePaula would be a much more passive hitter. This year, it's about 45% swing percentage for him, which league average is kind of right around that mark. He has swung a lot more at different pitches without completely sacrificing his ability to be able to draw walks. It's still a 13
or any of it.
It's still a 13.5% walk percentage, which is basically the exact same percentage as his strikeout percentage. And he's having a lot of success, been able to tap into a little bit more power as well this year. 222 isolated power, 147 WRC plus. He's taking his game to the next level. He's being a lot more aggressive inside the zone. I think that has really helped Josue DePaula, and I think he's been able to elevate the ball just a little bit more than what he was able to do last year with a little bit more impact and power. Showtime LA also mentioned Zaire Hope.
999 Showtime LA and 999 Chuck too. Yeah, awesome. Great judge.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Good note by Jay right in here. Josue DePaula, eligible for the Rule 5 draft after this year. He guaranteed is going to be added for the Los Angeles Dodgers, assuming that he's not part of any trade, which I doubt he's going to be part of any trade for the Dodgers going into this trade deadline. Zaire Hope. A lot of people had a lot of concern for Zaire Hope earlier in the season because
Showtime will tell you I didn't.
Yes. It was a little bit more of a league average-ish type of results for about the first 2-ish months of the season for Zaire. This kid is good, and he's really turned his season around.
He's better on defense. That's another. He's a better, way better defender than DePaula.
He is better defensively. You feel a lot more comfortable with Z out there on defense. And then it comes down to, okay, with Zaire, there's a lot of swing and miss as part of his game. Last year it was about a 26% strikeout percentage, which typically goes up as you increase levels. This year, it's about 25%. It stayed relatively stable, which still is fairly high, but with the amount of power, especially recently, that he's been able to tap into, that has really helped his performance. Let me read you Zaire Hope's month of July numbers entering the game today, because this is insane. It is a 407 batting average, a 493 on base percentage, and an 898 slugging percentage. Let me repeat that. Slugging percentage that is near 900 for Zaire Hope, a 240 WRC plus for him, with a sub 17 strikeout percentage and 8 home runs in 15 games. Zaire Hope has taken in this month of July his game to another level, and he's started to get a lot more comfortable at the AA level, which has been really good. Combine that with the player in Zaire Hope, who is going to steal 20 bases, as I believe Showtime LA had mentioned. He's at 17 right now. Josue DePaula has got to be up there as well with stolen bases. Yeah, he's already at 26. Both of these guys are going to be really close to being those 20 home run, 20 stolen base type of talent. There's a reason why so many people are excited about the Dodgers outfield prospects. And I know most of the attention has gone to DePaula and Sirota based on what they've done. Credit to them. They've been outstanding. Do not forget about some of the other guys. Do not forget about Zaire Hope, because he's so good. Do not forget about Eduardo Quintero because he's so good. Do not forget about all these other outfielders that are in the Dodgers system. We talked about a luxury at the big league level. It is an absolute luxury that the Dodgers have in the outfield situation at the minor league level. Both of those players can't be called up to AAA right now because there's too many outfielders that are doing really good at AAA too. So
everyday playing time.
Yep. So they'll spend a lot of time with Tulsa, and hopefully they can lead Tulsa to a Texas League championship this year.
So first and foremost, The Midwest League is not an easy league to hit in, especially early in the season. Okay. It gets better as it goes on.
Yes.
The Texas League is a much better league, much better environment. Like Hammond's Field and Springfield, that's a launching pad, man.
Yep.
Tulsa has a really short right field porch. That's a really great facility for a left-handed power hitter to hit in because right field's not, and it's like a 4-foot fence. And so Corpus Christi, it's a great environment to hit in. You talk about Amarillo is a tremendous. I mean, Amarillo is like hitting in Albuquerque. I mean, it's elevation. So there's much better venues and places to hit in the Texas League than there is Midwest League. So that's number one, where I'm not any way, shape, or surprised that Zaire Hope has done better. Two, going back to the Josue de Paula conversation, when pitchers are around the zone more, a guy like Zaire Hope, who has a tendency to chase, the fact that pitchers are throwing more strikes, or at least the strikes are throwing, or even the strikes that, the balls are throwing are closer to the plate. That means even when he's chasing pitchers that are pitches that are closer to the plate than pitches that are way off the plate. So he's going to be more likely to put those balls in play. So it is not a surprise whatsoever that Zaire Hope, his strikeout rates are actually going down. I think you'll probably continue to see that at least for a little while. And then here is the big thing for Zaire Hope, Austin, is the fly balls, the home runs for fly balls. Let me get back to this right here. 24% home runs per fly balls. You know what it was last year?
What's that?
10%.
Yeah.
So he's raised his home run level by 14% in home runs per fly balls hit. Okay. And by the way, he has not reduced his pull percentage. He hasn't hit the ball the other way any more than he normally does. And matter of fact, I mean, 2 or 3%, that's not a huge deal.
Yeah.
So he's continued to pull the ball, and then he's pulled the ball in the air, and he's hit a lot more fly balls, home runs per fly balls this year without sacrificing, the pull side power, and he's striking out less. So let me I didn't explain that very well. So he's striking out less and hitting more home runs per fly ball, and he's a tremendous defender. There's just absolutely not anything not to love about Zaire Hope. And I heard Rick Monday say this on the broadcast today, and I'll just say this. I love Rick Monday. He's a national treasure. He's wrong here, okay? Because when people say Dodgers might be sellers at the deadline, they're not wrong. But he doesn't mean like they're going to sell Kyle Tucker. Or we're not going to sell Teo Hernandez. We're not going to sell Tommy yet. That's not what people mean when they write that. What they mean is the Dodgers have so many outfielders in the minor league system that are so good. And here's the kicker, Austin.
Yep.
And they're all playing well. Okay. You remember Gavin Lux? The Dodgers got him to play as well as he could, traded him off for Mike Sirota, and now look where Gavin Lux is. Nowhere, right? Yep. So the Dodgers have these guys. Not only are they big prospects, they're also playing well. So there is a good case to be made that Josue de Paula, Zaire Hope, Zach Earhart, James Tibbs III, Mike Sirota, Eduardo Quintero, all these guys, these big-time names, okay, they're playing very well. They might be at the peak of the interest from the other clubs. So if the Dodgers did sell one of those guys, it may not even be to go get another major league. So when you say seller, you don't mean selling your major league pieces. You mean selling off the glut of your outfielders because they're all at the peak value right at this moment. Did that make any sense?
Yeah, that definitely made some sense, which could be, if we wanted to go down this path, a good, interesting conversation if you're talking about the Los Angeles Dodgers with selling, because I proposed a theory not too long ago. I talked a little bit about it on one of my Monday shows. We don't necessarily have to go down this route about the Dodgers. If they're looking for to be sellers, it most likely is going to be from players in the upper minors, upper levels of the minor league, probably some of those outfielders, perhaps to be able to replenish some of the other areas of the system. Perhaps pitching could be an additional catcher. Young, talented players that are younger that Dodger scouts really seem to like. So then the bottleneck of the outfielders in the system isn't as preoccupied for the Los Angeles Dodgers. But I also had made some sort of theory that it is possible, probably not likely, but possible, if one of the ways to be able to help fix, not completely, but help fix some of the bottleneck of the Dodgers outfielders, there's a scenario where the Dodgers could also trade Alex Call as well. And I propose this theory specifically because what exactly is Alex Call's role?
Yeah, what
in
the hell are you
outfield of the
talking
Los
about,
Angeles
man?
Dodgers?
You got to explain this because that one baffles me.
Yes. Let me go ahead and explain what I was talking about. I actually posted a thread on this on X to dive into some of my thoughts with this. Let me ask you guys a question, and this is a little bit more of a rhetorical question. What exactly is Alex Call's role on this team? Alex Call's role on this team basically is to sit on the bench, backup outfielder for the Los Angeles Dodgers to play a couple of times. That's not really what my question is. What is Alex Call's role in the postseason? Because again, I'm really concerned about what the Los Angeles Dodgers are going to do in the postseason. And in the postseason, let's be fair, the Los Angeles Dodgers starting outfielder is going to be Teoscar Hernandez, Andy Pages, and Kyle Tucker. That is going to be the Dodgers outfield because the upside of those guys is the highest when those guys are being able to play and competing at the level that they should. Unless the Dodgers are massively concerned that there is absolutely no hope with Kyle Tucker and he's going to be a sub 80 WRC plus type of player, then you could go ahead and talk about different alternatives. But with Kyle Tucker, he's not a platoon type of bat. He is about an average hitter right now against both sides. Really, on the offensive side, there's not really a role for Alex Call offensively on a playoff roster. And if you're talking about potential pinch hit opportunities, one, there's really not a whole lot of different opportunities for pinch hit opportunities. And with Alex Call, the thing about him is he is very specifically good against one type of pitcher, against lefties. Against lefties, Alex Call this year, 146 WRC plus. Against right-handed pitching, 63. He's good just specifically against lefties. Here's the tricky thing about that for the Dodgers postseason roster. Kike Hernandez is going to get opportunities in the postseason before Alex Call. Miguel Rojas, who also similarly 145 WRC plus against lefties, I think is going to get opportunities against left-handed pitching before Alex Call, which means even on the bench, Alex Call is third, which means that what is Alex Call's actual role in the postseason? It's to be the backup outfielder that maybe comes in defensively late in games. You know what's easy to replace? Late game defense. Who was on the postseason roster who came in late defensively for the Dodgers?
Andrew Dean.
It was Justin Dean.
Yeah.
It was Justin Dean. Justin Dean came in, which means that it is completely fair to be able to go ahead and do that. And this is really the crux of my argument with this is not only do the Dodgers have a whole lot of outfielders, you look at specifically the market of what is out there because the Dodgers have a great supply of different outfielders that are part of this system. What is the demand right now for the market for a lot of contending teams? They are looking specifically for right-handed bats that can hit left-handed pitching, which means that if you're talking about the peak of Alex Call's role and value for this team, it's probably not going to be higher than 3.5 years of club control than it is right now.
Yeah.
And if you're talking about his individual role for the postseason, unless there's some type of injury, which even if there is an injury, guess who's starting out in the outfield for the Dodgers? Kike Hernandez. It's not Alex Call. It's going to be Kike Hernandez who's going to
I don't know, man.
There.
Kike's pretty good off the bench. I could see them starting Alex Call and leaving Kike for the big moment. Because if you leave Kike on the bench, that means Dave can put him in the game in the biggest moment and dictate when Kike goes in. He can put Kike up in the biggest at bats. If he starts, it's just random when he comes up, right? So I could see Kike being a bench player and Alex Call getting that game.
Fair enough. I think last year with the way that they utilized Kike, which doesn't mean it's going to be exactly the same this year, but they utilized Kike Hernandez a lot during October. He was the starting outfielder for Michael Conforto a lot of times last year, especially during the World Series, which means that I don't think that there's a prominent role for Alex Call. You combine that with the fact that, man, there's somebody at AAA. Not saying that this is going to be the ideal role for him to have a ton of success, but this could be an option that the Dodgers have. Yeah. Dodgers have an outfielder that plays all three outfield positions, exactly the same as what Alex Call does. And he's hammers left-handed pitching, 380 expected weighted on base average against lefties in AAA this year. You could make and have the exact same role and type of player in Zach Earhart as you do with Alex Call.
He would step up too. He's Robo, I'm telling you.
while being able to maximize the value that Alex Call has on this market, because the market specifically is looking for hitters like Alex Call, and the amount of hitters, right-handed hitters, that are going to be available at the trade deadline is not a whole lot, which means that I'm not saying that it is likely, because the Dodgers probably are a better team with Alex Call on the roster as opposed to Zach Earhart. But how much of an impact is that likely to have could sway the Dodgers to being a little bit more of a, hey, this could be a move if the right opportunity and the right price for the specific type of prospect that we're looking for comes up. We might be willing to be able to make that move, because we believe that we have enough depth and we have enough talent and not as much of a use for him during October to where we can have a whole lot of success. And then going forward, that allows one of your AAA outfielders to be called up. Perhaps you make another trade that loosens some of the bottlenecks that then you have. Then somebody from
AA gets to go to AAA, that kind of deal. There's a chain effect.
Yes. And that loosens some of that up without necessarily trading all of your different outfielders that are part of the system. That's one path that the Dodgers could go down. Not saying that they should or that they will, but I think we need to be a little bit more open to the possibility that something like that could actually make sense for the Dodgers to go ahead and pursue.
It's one of those deals. It's like we have a player here in Colin Ritchie who was going to get drafted in the second, third, fourth round. He hit 30. He had the second most home runs in all of college baseball, and he didn't go till the 20th round to the Cardinals, and it's because he could come back to OSU. He has leverage. He has 2 more years at OSU, and he told them, hey, here's my price point. Either meet it or I'm coming back, right? So he was able to kind of say, here's my terms. Either meet them or don't, right? Everything, in other words, was on his terms.
Yep.
So kind of what you're saying is everything's sellable. Everything has a price point. And so if you meet a certain price point for Alex Call because he has peaked his value, then we'll start considering it at that point. So what I'm going to tell you is that the Dodgers will set his price point way higher than anybody else would because of this. Now, imagine you're in the war room. You're on the grease board. You made that entire presentation.
Yep.
Totally impressive. Everything that you said right there, 1,000% accurate. It all makes sense. It's all correct. Okay. And then here's what if I'm the guy actually making the decision, here's what I'm going to ask you.
Yep.
One question. Does Alex Call make us a team that is better suited to win a World Series?
I think he makes you a better team during the regular season, because I think he is a little bit more established and I kind of know what you're going to get. Basically, league average production, pretty solid defense. I don't know if he makes you a better postseason team, though, because I don't see a really defined role for Alex Call in the postseason. And when you're talking about the postseason, too, the Dodgers also have a couple of other outfielders. I know Jay mentioned some sort of comment. Making a trade, especially swapping out Zach Earhart, might make you a little bit more uncomfortable. The Dodgers also have other options. Alek Thomas has a lot of major league experience if you want to go down that route. Jack Suwinski could potentially be another option that the Dodgers have in-house that they potentially could go ahead and pursue. Answer your question, Alex Call does, but I think the margin of how much he makes your team better in October, I think could be really minuscule based on the playing time that he has.
I agree. What do we always talk about that really no other channel talks about that the Dodgers are so great at? Everybody wants to talk about Shohei Ohtani, Freddie Freeman. What do they always win, Austin?
It's on the margins. And
they always win on the margins. That's what I'm going to tell you.
And that's what we saw last October is every single player on the roster had some type
They had to or they wouldn't have won.
Absolutely. Yep.
So I'm going to look at you and I'm going to go, dude, it took Will Klein, Justin Robleski, Justin Dean, Edgardo Henriquez. It took all these suckers to win last year, right?
Yep.
Okay. I ain't trading Alex Call's ass for a AAA guy because it took every single dude we had last year. So everything you just said is 1,000% correct. And it's probably with any other organization, the right thing to do. But because our only goal is to win a World Series, and we saw it with our own eyes that, 2 years ago, it was Ryan Brazier saving our ass, right? I mean, so I have seen Alex Call, not necessarily Alex Call, but his position where you go, if we have to get down to him, we're screwed. No, we have seen that type of role guy literally be the difference between winning World Series and not winning World Series. So my comment back to you would be, man, this was a tremendous presentation. I agree with every part of it. But if I trade Alex Call and he goes and has a good time with another team, right, and does well, and then I lose the World Series, I'm a jackass. I can't explain that. So for that very reason right there, I can't do it.
Yep, and that is totally fair. It could be the correct decision for the Los Angeles Dodgers to do, and yet a decision that they don't do, because really, Alex Call is a pretty solid insurance option for the Dodgers, especially if something happens to Teo or something happens to Kyle Tucker, even if he's not necessarily that first man up during October, if you want to turn to Kike Hernandez, or if you want to move things around, perhaps move Tommy Edman to left field, play a little bit more Miguel Rojas at second base. There's definitely some options that the Los Angeles Dodgers could go ahead and pursue, where if the Dodgers want to keep this insurance to keep their team as foolproof as possible, perhaps that's something you could go ahead and go down. It comes down to, one, projections that the Los Angeles Dodgers have with Alex Call. There's some reason to believe that Alex Call has overperformed what he is expected. His expected weighted on base average is a lot less than what his actual 100%. One is. So you could perhaps bake in some future regression that is going to happen that other teams outweigh because he can specifically hit against left-handed pitching. And then the only counterpoint that I can have with this is last year with the Los Angeles Dodgers, there was a lot of concern about starting pitching, a lot of concern about some of the health of those guys. The Dodgers still went out there because the price was met and because the Dodgers had confidence with the guys that they had in-house. The Dodgers decided to trade away one of their starting pitchers that was part of the team in Dustin May. They made a trade from some of the depth that they had with concerns to the pitching staff going into October, to where you could have questions. Hey, is it a better thing for the Dodgers to have additional insurance with a Dustin May on this roster in case things happen, which a lot of things did happen, to the point where they had to throw a Roki Sasaki, who was not good during the regular season, as one of their primary relievers out of the bullpen role. The Dodgers still decided to make that trade because the value of the decision to go ahead and trade a Dustin May was worth it for this team in the long run, and the price was overwhelming for the Dodgers to make some sort of move.
No doubt.
If that is the case for something like an Alex Call, because of the limited type of role that he would have going into October, it might be the best thing for the Dodgers. Because remember, last year for Dustin May, they got James Stids III and Zach Earhart. Two tremendous players that are part of the system that are going to be part of or have the chance to be able to be part of
or turn around another trade and get you something back. Or they can
utilize them for different pieces to be able to help advance some of their causes. Those are the things that the Dodgers, while yes, they want to keep a lot of their insurance, and yes, of course, Alex Call is a tremendous voice in the clubhouse and has been awesome for the Los Angeles Dodgers. If the value is right with the limited amount of roles, I think the Dodgers potentially roll the dice, because they also have built up a decent amount of insurance at the upper levels of AAA, to where, man, you have insurance on top of insurance. What's so much losing a little bit of that to be able to potentially gain some stuff down the road, especially if the scouts really like some underrated prospects within another team system?
You know what's amazing is Dustin May, if he just would have went, I don't care, starter, reliever, long relief, whatever you need, just do it. I understand I haven't been healthy. I understand when I have been healthy, I haven't been consistent. Guys, I just want to win. Just put me wherever you want. And we probably don't ever see Will Klein. We might not even see Justin Robleski. We might not see Edgardo Henriquez, right? And the weird part of that is I have no idea if Dustin May would have performed well in those situations. I'm not sure the Dodgers win the World Series if that's Dustin May instead of those guys. So there is a legitimate case to make that the Dodgers don't win the World Series with Dustin May because he takes the place of Will Klein, Edgardo Henriquez, maybe a Justin Robleski in a couple of situations, then doesn't pitch as well as those guys. And then you don't have James Tibbs III and Zach Earhart. Now, the Dodgers have pulled the wool over a bunch of organizations' eyes, which is why I still don't know why organizations still mess with the Dodgers because you're going to freaking lose. I mean, just talk to Kevin Kraft and all these scouts that all these scouts that I get to talk with, Tom Kunis and all these guys.
Yep,
they're just
great.
Absolutely awesome, right?
Yep.
So I don't even know why but that one there, I mean, that one still, I just kind of laugh when I think about that trade.
Yes, it was for a couple of months of Dustin May, and you got 2 outfielders, one that you don't have to add on the 40-man roster for a couple of years, even after next year.
Yes.
It's after the 2027 season when you got to add those guys to the 40-man roster, which gave the Dodgers time to allow these guys to be able to develop in Earhart and Tibbs III, but also 2 really good, tremendous talents that were part of the Red Sox organization, and 2 really good human beings as well that fit so well into this Dodgers system. That was absolutely a great trade for the Dodgers. Speaking of trades for the Dodgers, just want to report on this. We don't have to dive into this too much just because I don't necessarily have a ton of scouting report on this individual player. The Dodgers a couple of days ago did make a trade with the Colorado Rockies. Seth Halverson, relief pitcher, part of the system, has bounced back and forth a little bit with the minor leagues, struggled at the major league level this year for the Colorado Rockies. He is a Los Angeles Dodger now. He does have, I believe, 3 option years, 2 after this season. He's going to report to Oklahoma City, spend some time there. Been much more of a struggle at the major league level this year with somebody who came up and was really good, really dominant for the Colorado Rockies, even was part of their closing situation last year, 11 saves on the season. Things just haven't necessarily been good. But this is a guy who posts really good AAA numbers this year. 23% strikeout minus walk percentage is good. 35 ERA minus, that's really good. He is somebody that has some really good stuff. Upper 90s to 100 mile per hour fastball, good stuff. Kind of reminds me a little bit of a Will Klein type of trade that the Dodgers, although somebody with perhaps a little bit more major league experience, somebody maybe really good stuff. So, perhaps a little bit Michael because at the major league level, it's a near 16% walk percentage. So somebody who struggles with command, really good stuff. Just got to be able to put some of those pieces together. Adding him to the system, I think it could be something that could be really good for the Dodgers. Yeah. And the Dodgers have a couple of years to be able to make some of the pieces work. And it's not somebody that the Dodgers are going to be overly reliant upon in October. As part of the trade back to the Colorado Rockies, Nick Frasso was traded to the Rockies. Struggled with injuries, which really helped derail a lot of the progress that we saw early in his career. He is somebody, though, this season at AAA, starting to turn things around a little bit for him.
He always does late. He always does late in the year.
At least in the strikeout compartment. Overall, it's a 35% strikeout percentage for Nick Frasso. The stuff absolutely is still there. Hopefully, he's able to get much more of a shot and a little bit more of a runway over in Colorado. Then also part of that trade, Landon Viderek, who was former 3rd-round pick in the 2025 draft, struggled a lot with strikeouts, but still a lot of tools, a lot of talent. Outfielder, send it over to Colorado. It's one of those minor type of trades that you can go at it because it's a little bit more under the radar. But if a lot of the pieces are able to put together for Seth Halverson, you could see this guy perhaps be part of the Dodgers bullpen type of roles, at least at some point in the future. Maybe not in 2026 because there's some things that the Dodgers probably have to tweak, and they probably ID'd those very specific things that they want to be able to work on with him, and implementing those can take some time. But in the future, especially if you have somebody with as much velo as he has, and with being somebody that was a former high leverage type of reliever, even in Colorado, that's going to open up some eyes, open up some attention, and you could see Seth Halverson play a role in the Los Angeles Dodgers bullpen at some point in the future. Just wanted to mention that trade that had happened within the past couple of days.
This is how I evaluate this. I think this is very simple. We like to overthink things here at Dodgers Dogs because why not? We have a lot of time to talk about a bunch of different topics, and just talking about box scores whenever you know the Dodgers are going to win over 100 games, that gets kind of dull whenever you get into the dog days of summer. We're almost into August. So the Dodgers are in win now mode, correct?
Yes.
They're trying to do one of the hardest things ever, and that's three-peat. Okay. Yep. The Yankees, that hadn't been done since the Yankees. Okay. Is that correct? I think
it has not been done since the 98, 99, 2000 Yankees. Yes. Okay.
So they're in win now mode, and I'll just say this: Seth Halverson this is called a flyer for me. So when I say flyer, I mean high reward, almost zero risk. Okay, and when I say that is, I like Landon Vitterick. Okay, the chances of Landon Vitterick helping the Dodgers win a World Series someday. I mean, there's with all the outfielders in the system and the guy. So it's kind of like, in a golf tournament, you go, well, man, I'm only 6 strokes back, right? You come into that Sunday, you go, I'm only 6 strokes back. And then you go, yeah, but there's 18 people ahead of me. I mean, it's only 6 strokes, but it's still 18 people I have to jump, right? So that's kind of Landon Vitterick to me. There's just, I mean, I suppose it could happen, but is that dude going to jump Josue Paula, Zaire Hope, Eduardo Quintero, or even a Cole Myers, or even a Chris Newell, or a Zach Earhart, or a James Tibbs III, or any of the Quad A guys like a Jack Sawinski or Alec? Is he going to jump any of the new guys are going to get next year? They're going to get a whole new crop of Quad A outfielders next year. Is Landon Vitterick ever going to? And then even if those minute odds happen, okay, and he does jump all those guys, okay, then will he actually ever do anything to help the Dodgers win a world? So, and then is that going to happen in the next 2 years? Well, hell no, right? Mm-hmm. And the Dodgers are in win now mode. Nick Frasso is not going to help the Dodgers in the next 2 years. He's been too injury prone. I love Nick, but because of the injuries, he's been way too non-reliable in terms of he'll have a great outing or a great patch. Then he'll have not a bad patch, but a terrible patch. He was not going to help the Dodgers win a World Series in the next 2 years. Again, this is a transactional world. So the flyer part of this is, out of the 3 guys in this trade, Seth Halverson, Nick Frasso, and Landon Vitterick, the only one, and it's not even close, the only one of these 3 guys that stands a chance to help the Dodgers win a World Series this year or next year is Seth Halverson. So because of that, there's no reason for the Dodgers not to execute this trade.
Yep. It gives them the player that, as you had mentioned, gives them the best chance to have an impact type player within the next couple of years. For the Colorado Rockies, they get to take a flyer on a Nick Frasso, former top prospect that has a decent amount of swing and miss. That's part of his game in a good way. And the pitching side of things at the AAA level, perhaps they can unlock some things with him and he can be a prominent bullpen piece for them. And they'd have him for a more extended run with Seth Halverson. He already has a couple of years of control that is passed, so they get to reset that with Nick Frasso. They also get a talented third round pick for the Los Angeles Dodgers last year, who, while it's been a little bit more of a struggle, still has some really solid tools, and they've got a lot of time and a lot more runway to be able to run him as part of their system. So I think it was a fair deal for both sides. I don't think for the Los Angeles Dodgers they're going to be losing a ton of sleep, not because Nick and Landon aren't talented players, but because they have the ability to be able to absorb that, and they have the upside of, if things were to click for Seth, that can create a really solid bullpen piece for the Los Angeles Dodgers because he's got the stuff to be able to do it.
Mm-hmm. And we have a question: DePaul and Hope, will they stay in the playoffs with Tulsa? I think they will, and the reason I think they will is because Oklahoma City goes 3 weeks longer than Tulsa. So even if they stick for a
week or two, something like that,
I think it's at least 2 now because they've extended the AAA season. So the Major League club, if they need to go to pluck down and a Justin Dean or whatever, he's still playing. He hasn't sat around for the last 3 weeks trying to go pluck a guy like that. So the AAA season's quite a bit longer. So if it was up to me, I would definitely keep Josue Paula, Zaire Hope through the entire playoff run for Tulsa, and then move him up to AAA after the Tulsa season's up, and then let him play the last 2 to 3 weeks. If not, get your cup of coffee in the major leagues as far as playing going forward from there. So
I can tell you my own selfish opinion about this. I want the Los Angeles Dodgers to keep Josue Paula and Zaire Hope, not just because it gives the Tulsa Drillers the best chance to be able to win, because that also means and again, this is totally selfish on my own part, that also means that the Loons get to keep Eduardo Quintero and Chuck Davlin down at the high A level for the Loons and their playoff push during this second half, which is something that I want to be able to see because I want the Loons to be able to go out and make a playoff push. So I would say probably they would probably stick around for at least a good chunk of that October type of run. Maybe you see one of those guys promoted. I kind of doubt that both of them would be promoted to Oklahoma City, though. Dodgers do value winning at the minor league level to a certain degree because it helps with the development of the process. And they also want to be able to put some of their teams in the best position to be able to win. And also, if you look at some of the development path of Zaire and Josuele, both Z and Depot DePaula stayed at Great Lakes for the entirety of Great Lakes run last year. And it was only after Great Lakes' season was done that those players were promoted, which means if Tulsa is eliminated in the first round of the playoffs, which again, 3-game series that they're going to play, they can move them up to Oklahoma City after that. That would probably be my guess, although who knows with this system. And you could see additional promotions like Eduardo Quintero and Chuck Davalin taking the spot for Tulsa going into that postseason type of run.
Yeah, 2021, Jay, I think was the year. I know Nick Robertson was on that. It was Nick Robertson and Jordan Leisure and that group for Tulsa, where they averaged the average miles per hour per pitch.
Yep.
Tulsa had the highest average miles per hour per pitch of any team in all of professional baseball at any level. It was they had like Bobby Miller and then I think they still had Clayton Beater at that time. Yeah. And Landon Knack was still hitting 96, 97 back then. And Michael Grove was hitting 97, 98. So yeah,
so that would have been like 2022 or potentially 2023 as well. One of those years. It's so good, man. So much velo, so much gas that was part of that Tulsa rotation, entire pitching staff that they had. Minor leagues is fun. A lot of these teams are really fun to be able to watch. And it's fun to be able to follow and track to see the success that they have.
Yeah, and yes, this is the best. Maybe the team with Cody Bellinger. Bellinger was in Tulsa for quite a bit, and then Gavin Lux was in Tulsa for quite a bit. Those are pretty good teams. But yeah, I don't know, pitching. It'd be interesting because that group, whenever you had Bobby Miller and Landon Knack and Michael Grove and River Ryan, and then all the relievers like Nick Robertson, Jordan Leisure, Clayton Beater, and then, guys like Cody Hosey were still a big deal back then. Jaron Kendall was still playing well. If the third baseman, he got up. He was like a top 30 prospect, and then Brandon right-handed
Lewis?
hitter. Brandon Lewis, B-Lou. He was still a big deal, so you had, and then, I think Damon Keith came up with that, and then Jose Ramos came up with that group. I think that group, I don't know, the pitching of that group would probably beat this year's team, but in terms of an offensive team, I would say, pretty close. I think, this is a pretty good team that Tulsa has this year, but I think the pitching of that 2022 team, 2023 team, whichever one that is, probably would beat this team. But as far as the CBA goes, if they put a salary cap on that, there's no way that they can't grandfather in all these contracts that these teams made. You can't just say, hey, you got to get rid of all these guys. Where are they going to go, right? I mean, these are contracts that they have to sign. So even if they sign a salary cap, I think that there's no way that they have to grandfather in all these contracts that these teams have signed with the longer term. So last thing we're going to talk about here, Austin, what have you seen at the Great Lakes level that has stuck out to you?
Yeah, so there's a couple of different things. First off, Great Lakes just started off post All-Star break. A little bit of a struggle with West Michigan. Lost the first game against a struggling Lansing Lugnuts team. Was really able to rebound tonight. Isaac Aon had a really good performance for Great Lakes. 6 2/3 was just two batters away from going. Gave up 2 hits at the end of his performance. Really good.
For the tower buzzers.
Hold on,
Cat swing and a miss.
Sorry, my bad. I'm trying to get some video up. I haven't done this in a while. You can't tell I'm rusty.
Oh, you're fine.
All right, there we go. Here's Isaac.
Yeah, Isaac Aon, who early within his Great Lakes tenure, let's be fair, very home run prone. Was somebody that gave up a lot of home runs, which typically is something that is not as repeatable going forward for an individual player. has been able to rebound from that and has turned into a really effective pitcher for the Loons, whether it comes from out of the just the main bullpen, which typically has been more of that piggyback second starter that will go 2 to 4 innings, or tonight when he was put fully out of the starting rotation. He's somebody that was able to have a lot of success overall entering the game today, which I believe this is going to be slightly lowered, a 3.57 ERA, which might not be as impressive. But remember, the California League, a very hitter-friendly environment, and in the Midwest League, this is something that might surprise you. The Midwest League ERA typically sits in the low fours. It's about 4.2, or not 4.2, 5.2, 5.3 this year. It's up a full run from what it had been typically in the past. Isaac Ayon still has been able to go out there and have a really good performance, is able to limit a lot of the walks as well this year. A 21.1 entering the game today, strikeout minus walk percentage. Just one walk given up by Isaac Ayon today. Really impressed by what he's able to do. There's a couple of also different milestones that I'm really looking out for. Yeah, for Great Lakes. And one of the ones that I mention a lot is Logan Wagner. Logan Wagner is 1 home run away from tying Andy Pages for the most home runs hit in Great Lakes Loons history. Logan Wagner is at 30 home runs in his Great Lakes Loons career, combined last year and this year. He is 1 home run away from tying Andy Pages, 2 home runs away from passing him. He's taken his power to an absolute another level this year. Logan Wagner, such a good dude. Like, I'm talking about a 80 plus grade human being for him. And the baseball field, it was a lot of swing and miss that was part of his swing. It was near 30% strikeout percentage with a little bit more limited power. Now he's got 15 home runs on the season, a near 300 isolated power, approaching 600 slugging percentage on the season. And while yes, there's still some swing and miss that's part of his game, really good overall player, especially with the power, which the power is really able to take his game to another level. Third baseman, second base type of prospect. He's a really fun player to be able to watch going forward in this system. And he is chasing after history right now for the Great Lakes Loons, which is such a cool thing to be able to watch. I'm actually going to be in Lansing over the next 3 days, so it is possible, especially with what we've seen coming out since the All-Star break, which I believe he has hit 3 home runs within the past 5 games coming out of the All-Star break, to really put him in position to be able to go ahead and break that record for the Great Lakes. A couple of other things, a couple of other accomplishments that I'm really looking out for Great Lakes this season. Jair Fernandez, manager of the Great Lakes Loons, I think he's like 6 wins away from his 200th win in Great Lakes Loons history. He's really making a push to be able to do that. There's a lot of players that are able to get a lot of swing and miss stuff. I'm really excited to be able to see Brady Smith, who just got called up to Great Lakes, be able to go ahead and make his Loons debut. Probably going to happen on Saturday, would be my guess based on some of the current pitching plans that are out there. Aiden Fuller, for those of you who don't know, just got promoted to Tulsa. Absolutely deserved for Aiden Fuller. His fastball is insane for that pitch. He's really able to rely upon, is able to stay up in the zone really effectively, really good induced vertical break numbers for him based on some of the reporting that's been done. Stuff really is able to work well. I think it's really all about the executing and being able to develop some of the secondary pitches, because I think his fastball is absolutely there right now. It's not just a really high IVB fastball. It's a 96, 97 mile per hour high IVB fastball, which we talk about some of the things that Jack Schreier and Alex Vesia do really well. One of the things that you'll notice is their velo on those pitches is not as high. It's 92, 91, 93 sometimes. Aiden Fuller is well beyond that. So now it's going to come down to, okay, how well can he be able to locate and be able to refine some of his secondary pitches? And if he's able to do that, I think you're going to see him have a really solid big league career, whether it's out of the bullpen, whether it's out of the starting rotation. Don't necessarily know yet, but it's been an absolute pleasure to be able to watch Aiden Fuller and his time in Great Lakes. A 3.45 ERA, which is 35% below league average as an ERA on the good side of things for that. 175 average against. Aiden Fuller has been somebody that has been really solid for Great Lakes, just got the promotion. There's a lot of different pitchers that you could point to, especially with the swing and miss stuff that Great Lakes has that could be getting promotion sometime soon. Zach Root is phenomenal and is really making some really good strides. Brooks Auger just got put on the injured list, but he was taking a lot of really good strides that you could look for of him potentially being promoted as well at some point to AA Tulsa. A lot of really good, exciting things happening for Great Lakes, but the big things to watch going forward for this team. One, they're in a playoff push. 17-8 to start the second half. They really want this the second half playoff spot, and it's all looking like it's going to come down to Great Lakes and Lake County in the final week of the season. Again, currently Great Lakes with a 2.5 game lead. They just need to keep winning to lessen the amount of wins that they need to win in Lake County. Secondly, Logan Wagner going for the Loons franchise record in home runs, which, if you're talking about Logan Wagner, there is no more popular Loon in Midland than Logan Wagner with what he does for the community, with the personality that he has, with the faith that he shows, just the smile that he has on his face. Loons fans would love to see that. That could happen within the next couple of days. Jair Fernandez is going to get his 200th win for Great Lakes coming up, and the Loons are chasing their franchise all-time strikeout percentage lead, even surpassing the 2022 Great Lakes Loons, which I think had a lot of the players on that 2023 Tulsa Driller staff, which I think it's 2023 that had the highest velocity of any pitching staff going forward. So a lot of interesting storylines, a lot of really good players that are part of Great Lakes right now. Great Lakes is playing some fun baseball. They'll be in Lansing tomorrow through the end of the week on Sunday. I'll be there Thursday through Saturday. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, so Aiden Feller out of Southern Illinois. Let me see if I can get back.
By the way, we got John Vicari, play-by-play broadcaster
cool.
for the Loons in the chat. Thanks for tuning in, John. Appreciate you and all the work that you're able to do for the organization.
So this was after his 2025 debut with Rancho. Okay, threw 2 games in that year. Led the Missouri Valley Conference with 105 strikeouts, also top 30 in Ks per 9 in Southern Illinois at 12.17. This is what I wrote like when he first came into the organization. He also recorded 12 or more strikeouts on 5 occasions as a Saluki. Also an innings eater that he averaged over 6 innings an outing in his last 7 outings. So he can be an innings eater if he needs to be a long relief starter as long as he's putting the ball in the zone. Here was the fun part of this. Very projectable is the way that I put Aiden Feller because the execution wasn't very good. When the execution was there, he was obviously very dominating. Because, in this report here, underlying metrics suggest there's a lot of room to grow in both stuff and execution. No doubt about it. When he has the feel of the slider, he's able to sequence, and when he's able to sequence off of the fastball with the slider, it is absolutely lights out. Lots of room to grow. Slider, very effective pitch when he has a feel of it. That was after the his very first outing ever in the system, and that was a pretty good scouting report that I got from the people at Southern Illinois, and all that projectable stuff. That this is why the Dodgers go and get guys like this and Patrick Copen and even guys at the quad A level, because the projectable aspects of this, when you get into this Dodgers system, they start turning into results pretty fast.
Yeah, they surround them with some of the best coaches in all of baseball that really able to help them develop. With Aiden Fuller, yeah, you mentioned it. I think it's the next step for him in Tulsa, because watching a lot of his outings, especially going back to his phenomenal outing against Lake County in what was an elimination game for Great Lakes at the time, Aiden Fuller got the ball for Great Lakes, ended up tossing 4 2/3, a nearly perfect outing, ground ball to Emil Morales, just got booted just with his throw, just a little bit low. Otherwise, it would have been 5 perfect innings in a 7-inning game for Aiden Fuller. He was very reliant on his fastball. I think if he's able to connect both the fastball and the slider, because a lot of AA hitters are going to be a lot better about being able to do that. And I think they're going to be able to hit the fastball a little bit more. I think leaning into a little bit more of those secondaries and being able to work with those are going to be some of the next steps that he's going to have to take And there's probably going to be some adjustment period that he's going to be able to have. But the tools, the stuff that he has is absolutely there. It's all about, okay, let's refine the process, allow it to be able to take out. And as we saw the process take out for Aiden Fuller at high A, it was really able to click. And I think there's a pretty good chance that it has a chance that it can click for Double A Tulsa, given enough time going forward for him to be able to develop.
So I literally just opened up my Dodgers Daily X feed 2 days ago for the first time in like 3 months. I have not done any social media. There's just been a whole bunch of different deals that I don't want to get into. So I only say that to say I opened up my messages and I had a message from John and it was about Chase, and I went to typing and I got done with the end of it and I was like, oh, hell, this was 2 months ago. This doesn't really, I'm sure he knows quite a bit about him for now, but he was wanting to know a little bit about Chase Atkinson because Chase went to OSU. And to be honest with you, Chase was like the 7th best position player on that Oklahoma State roster. 2024. Check out the names here. Aiden Miola, who just signed an undrafted free agent contract this year. He was one of the better hitters in college baseball this year. Okay. Carson Benj, who's tearing it up for the Mets right now. Zach Earhart. Okay. So the outfield for Oklahoma State. You want to hear the outfield for Oklahoma State? Okay. You had Carson Benj, Zach Earhart, and Nolan Schubert. Okay, you know Nolan from the Midwest League just got promoted to Double A.
That guy
he
hit a
balls
walk-off
like
home
900 miles.
Yes, that guy hit a walk-off home run in Dow Diamond, and I had to watch the Lake County Captains eliminate the Loons from a playoffs because that guy hit a walk-off home run at my own home stadium. That guy's good.
So the catcher that year was going to be Ian Doherty, who, by the way, is in AAA baseball right now. From Kingfisher, Oklahoma. I love that young man. He kicked our ass every time we freaking played him. I mean, our kids were scared of him. He was so Chase actually beat out Ian. Okay, he came in from Boise State, but Ian was supposed to be the catcher. Then you had Colin Brigham, who's getting ready to start his pro career. Colin Ritchie, who would have been probably a second, third, probably 4th round draft pick this year, but because he had leverage at OSU, he wanted more than the slot value. The teams didn't want to pay him. So he basically told him, I'm coming back to college. But Colin Ritchie will be a 2nd or 3rd round draft pick next year. Avery Ortiz, who just signed a contract today with the Nationals. Okay. Bo Sylvester, who I think had the 3rd best batting out. He beat out Bo Sylvester, too, who was a starting catcher for the University of Arizona this year, and he hit like 340. So Chase Atkinson beat out Ian Doherty, who is in AAA. He beat out Bo Sylvester, who's the starting catcher at Arizona and was one of the better hitters in all of college baseball this year. And then he was on a team with an outfield that had Nolan Schubert, Zach Earhart, Carson Benj, and then Colin Ritchie, and then Lane Forsythe, who was at Mississippi State. He's one of our coaches now. Ian Doherty and Bo Sylvester. That was the team that Chase Atkinson was on, and he was, I said 7th. Hell, he was like the 11th best player we had. But he was such a good dude, and he was such a hard worker. He came in from Boise State, just kind of kept his mouth shut, and he had a really good arm. I mean, a really good arm. And then as the year went on, he got to hit like 8 or 9 hole because that team could freaking hit. And he got fastball. And then, hell, by the end of the year, he was a really good hitter. He executed the game well. He hit the ball to the right side. He bunted when he needed him to. He threw the ball down well. He had a really good arm. He received the ball well. He was a great dude, and he just blended in. So Chase Atkinson, I love that young man, signed to UDFA. No surprise there that he continues to work. No surprise that he continues to get better. Super excited for him. So I wanted to cover Chase Atkinson.
Yeah, he has been fun, and I think he's really starting to get going a little bit. 3 hits for him tonight. Look, the start to his Loons career was really slow for Chase Atkinson. He was brought in specifically because there was a lot of injuries that had happened to the Great Lakes Loons and their catching situation. The catching tandem at the start of the season was Jesus Galiz and Victor Rodriguez. Jesus Galiz went down with an injury. Gio Cueto went down with an injury. Anson Arrows went down with an injury. They needed some additional catching help. Chase Atkinson went in, and it was a struggle at the start point blank, and they weren't using him as much. But I think he's starting to be able to get things going to the point where, man, now he's hitting 273 for Great Lakes on the season. Now he's starting to be able to put a lot of different things together where he's starting to feel, I think, a lot more confident. I think he's starting to have a little bit more success out there in the box. And I think we're really starting to see a lot of things put into place for him to where, man, he's a good fit in the clubhouse. Man, you don't feel uncomfortable with him when he's behind the catching, when he's catching for Great Lakes. And he's fit in really well within this system for a player that did not start the season within this organization, but was thrust into there because injuries happen, and they happen to a lot of the guys that the Dodgers and the Loons were planning on utilizing at the catching position.
Yeah, matter of fact, on my O-State Daily site, I highlighted him, because of all the guys that, like Aiden Miola, didn't get drafted. Hey, it's not over. You can sign a UDFA. Just look at Chase Atkinson. He is the role model for that. And another reason why Chase will work so well with this Loons team or wherever Dodgers situation. Yep. He's used to just being a guy. He's used to being like the 9th or 10th best guy and being said, hey, Chase, this is what we need you to do. And he's just happy to be a part of it. Yep. So he's used to that role. That was literally the role he had at OSU. So as far as Southern Illinois, why are they the Salukis? Because there are parts of the southern regions of Illinois that are called Little Egypt, and a Saluki is a ancient Egyptian breeding dog. And so they changed it to the Salukis from the Maroons after the student body took a vote on that. So there is your useless information for the day.
Yeah, who knew on the Dodgers show when we started this that
I didn't have to look that up either, by the way.
Yeah, no, jeez. Yeah, this is this.
You're not calling BS on that. Come on, Brubaker.
Yeah,
I've taught you to be tougher than that. You need a bull. You looked that up, right?
Yeah, you totally did. The show has taken all sorts of different turns and stuff, but there's so many great players that are part of the system, and they come from so many different backgrounds that we can't not cover it. It's a fun part of the show.
Hey, we have a $20 super chat from Christopher Navarro. Welcome back. 50-50. Yeah, but that means 50-50 between Austin and Casey, obviously. Miss having this show, being a part of my life. Glad to see you guys. Yeah, man, I'm not going to lie. I mean, just a little bit of it. I've really been heavy on the O-State Daily site. There's been just a lot of drama at Oklahoma State with the baseball program, with all the conference realignment. So I've just kind of put with the Dodgers having a 12-game lead and kind of in the prospect realm with the Dodgers, it's the same 8 or 9 guys that you're hearing about every day. It's Josue Paula, it's Zaire Hope, it's Eduardo Quintero, it's Mike Sirota, it's James Tibbs, it's there's a couple of pitchers that are kind of new, but there's not a whole lot of spice to it right now. So I kind of thought if I'm ever just going to say I got to get this O-State Daily site built like I do my Dodgers site and prioritize it, this would be the perfect time because it's like there's not a whole lot of new that you're missing. Does that make sense? So a lot of this was I just prioritized O-State Daily over Dodgers Daily. Then there were some other issues. And then to be honest with you, I kind of realized that, man, that's a lot of work and I just kind of needed some time off from it. And there's not really a whole lot new to it. So yeah, I will get back into the swing of the Dodgers deal. But as of right now, I'm prioritizing the O-State Daily part of it. So I wanted to say that to say I appreciate all the Dodgers dogs hanging in there with me, and specifically you, Austin, for you. I mean, literally, you are keeping this thing going. You're keeping me going with this, keep me getting back on this in a period, like I said, where I'm prioritizing a few other things until it gets exciting again with the Dodgers. So I want to thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely. This is challenging because this is something that is not our jobs. That we have. Unfortunately, this can't be a full-time job based on the situation that it is right now for me or for Casey at this point. So we got to squeeze this in with everything else in life. Yeah. And as you guys have, there's a lot of things that are going on in life. I will tell you this, I'm going to do my very best to make sure that Casey and I hopefully are able to do at least one show a week together for you guys. I know with us being the name Dodgers Daily, we should be doing this daily.
Should be.
Right now, I do not have the capability. I know Casey doesn't really have the capability to go as daily as we should, but maybe Dodgers at least once a week. Maybe that should be the new name of the show. Dodgers at least once a week for you guys.
Oh, man. You Dodgers dogs are awesome. Austin, any final thoughts here? We've covered it. Of course, the first thing I said was, We'll go about 45, 50 minutes. And the first thing you said was, yeah, okay, you're right.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah, we're going an hour and a half.
Or an hour and a half. One of the two.
Oh, no, that's absolutely how it was going to turn out. It was an hour and a half. Unless there is something very specific where it's like, hey, we've got another show that I have to do literally at this specific time. But tonight, it was all about the Los Angeles Dodgers. It was all about this team. Look,
I was kind of pissy at the beginning of the show, wasn't I? I was like, this guy's sucking. You're like, no, dude, we're not doing this. You said, hey, we're not spending the whole damn show talking about how bad Kyle Tucker's been. You kind of changed the mood. Good job, man.
Yeah, it was funny because the Dodgers had just won the series against the Philadelphia Phillies, and yet we got to go on Dodgers Dogs and we got to complain at the beginning of it. No, it's rightfully so because there are some struggles that the Dodgers have, and it's been a while. We haven't done this as much recently as we should have or have done over the past little bit, but I think we were still able to talk about a lot of different things within the system. It's so much fun to be able to do this, talk back and forth, talk about the guys within the minor league system that Casey and I have the privilege of being able to watch a whole bunch that I get to be able to see in person, to talk to the major leagues. Look, with the Dodgers, there's a lot of things that are going to be happening over the course of the next couple of weeks, specifically with the August 3rd trade deadline that is coming up. And I really don't know what the Dodgers are going to do. And really, the Dodgers could do a couple of different things. They could literally, as Dave Roberts said, sell, as we had with our discussion with Alex Call being a potential option for the Dodgers to go ahead and sell. Eric Lauer, I think, is less likely at this point just because I think the Dodgers need innings out of their pitching, and with the depth that they have at the starting pitching being a little bit shaky at AAA, I kind of like just having Eric Lauer being able to throw innings. With the dominance that he has against left-handed pitching, there perhaps could, in a different emergency, be a role for him as a lefty specialist in October or as a long innings game goes sideways. We need somebody to go out there, throw Eric Lauer out there. I think he potentially could fit into that role as well, to where I actually am not fully expecting the Dodgers, like they did last year with Dustin May, to trade Eric Lauer with some of the injuries that they have on the pitching staff, although that remains a possibility. The Dodgers could sell. They could also go all in and buy Tarek Skubal because they can buy Tarek Skubal, and because there potentially could be some concerns with some of the pitching side. Or they could go ahead and do the prospect for prospect type of trade, trading some of the upper level outfielders that are part of the system for other areas of need in the system. I have no idea where this goes for the Los Angeles Dodgers. What I do know is the Dodgers are well positioned no matter what choice that they make or what moves that they make, to the point where I'm not losing a lot of sleep because I know the Dodgers have to get a frontline starting pitcher like they needed to do a couple of years ago, where they needed to go out there and get a starter and they went and got Jack Flaherty, or when they went out there and made some other deals for some of the other players as they had in previous moves. There's a lot less needs for the Dodgers team, and they're still going to be well positioned going into October, even if they don't make any sort of move, which is the right position to be in because it allows you to be the most opportunistic, and that's where I think the Dodgers are going to be at their best.
So a couple things to end the show. First of all, I've gotten to spend a whole lot of time with my beautiful bride of 26 years. It's been maybe the best summer I've ever had because I've had time to do all that kind of stuff. And so I found out that there's just absolutely nothing to bitch about with in terms of her or my wonderful Dodgers dog. So I have to find something to bitch about, right? Which would be the Dodgers. So that's number one. And then also, Chuck, if you're going to do the coconut cream Dr. Pepper, you better switch to Pepsi to Dr. Pepper Zero right now, because you're going to get fat if you don't go to zero, because they're so addictive. You're going to drink like 800 of them a day, and you're going to be putting in like 4,000 calories just in Dr. Pepper coconut creams because they're that addictive. So those are my final thoughts. Anything you got to say to that?
No, I've got nothing else to say to that. No, it was a fun show. I'm excited to be able to do this again at some point next week, which again will be filled with Loons games and all sorts of crazy stuff. But we'll try to find some sort of time to be able to do another show, and perhaps even an emergency show if the Dodgers actually do decide to make a big trade.
Yep. We can't really give you a next show. It's going to just depend on availability, that kind of deal. So just keep your notifications open, hang with us, and we'll go on whenever, not just whenever we're available, also when we have a good opportunity. So yes, the last thing that I have to say today, and this is a great comment, we've had some tremendous comments, is free Gator Free Ryan Ward. Let them go free and let them have the career that they deserve. It's a great day to be a Dodger. Thanks so much.